welcome. Welcome, good people. And today for another episode of Digital Dina Daily Ditties. I'm so glad you all could make it. As you know, we always start with a little bit of, um, spoken word poetry, getting into the groove of things. Just vibe with me on this one. So we'll get a good start for today. Game, board game. That's what we're talking about. Board game. I'm starting off the streaming with a little bit of teaming. And I promise to you, we'll not shout. Board game. And over here is someone we know very well. And we are going to chat with this sweet mademoiselle. So jump with me on this carousel. Baz is with this hostess. But today, as you might have noticed, I am going to be your poetess. Board game, board game, board game. That's what we're talking about. And I so solemnly swear I will not shout, for today we're having a chill out. So sit back and relax, grab yourself a snack, and let's get to meet this lovely lilac.
No. It's so sweet. Thank you very much for having me on, Dina. It's such a delight.
It's so great that you could finally make it. Trying to schedule both of us in at the same time. I know you're super busy, so I'm so grateful that you could take the time to join me today.
Oh, thank you so much.
So as you all know, my 10 days to TikTok just started. If you haven't joined already, you can still do it. There's still room for more people to join in so we can all learn together and, nail down that platform. And let's
Rob.
Hello. That's so great you all are here. I'm hoping you're all having a good day. It's sunny here in Finland, and and as you know, we're streaming every single day at noon Finnish time, 10 UK, because I know a lot of you are in the UK right now. So good to be here. Yeah. Oh.
I'm really glad to finally make it onto this show. It's been, well done on, just such a great stream and every day. Except for that little break that you took.
Yeah, and having you on for like 330 episodes, like proper nice round number. That is so cool, so nice. We're gonna chat a lot with Bess today. Live music, games. We'll see what happens. There'll be tangents as always. I'm a chatty person. We'll definitely get to know Bess a little bit more intimately, and maybe we'll find out some secrets.
Ooh, wow! I don't know what. I must admit, I should have maybe I've watched a couple of the shows in the 100s and the 200s, but I've not watched any of the 300s yet. I'm ashamed to say, so I don't know what secrets you're talking about. Is this a new section?
Always, I get people to talk on the show, and sometimes they let us in on what's coming up next, and that's a great segue for us to start into our recent highlights. So I'll cue the intro for that. Recent highlights. A clear sky, living the life, seeking gold like a magpie, singing along with the bird life, seeing the sights, recent highlights, playing games and other delights, recent highlights. So, Baz, what is one of your recent highlights?
Oh, wow, so many to talk about. I think that just walking around, enjoying the world around me, but honestly, just being on this show with you is such a lovely delight. And I think that, you and I know we're not friends, but still we can be tight because we're getting to know each other. And I think the future's bright. and
It's
I look
definitely.
ahead into the distance, and for me, there is no fright.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, we're kind of coordinated today.
Oh yes,
What a
I
coincidence.
specially wore a top because I
No.
knew that I was coming onto your show, and of course, Dina,
Oh,
you're very well known for wearing green all the time, and I just
I.
wanted to match it because it's your special show.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. Oh, going the extra mile. As I always say, you go the extra mile because it's not crowded there. So it gets you noticed, right?
Ah yes, being off away on your own, just standing
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Don't let anyone hold you down just to go to the normal path. Go there and see the wonderful sights at the top of the hill that no one else wondered. The road less traveled, always.
I did manage to pop into the end of your stream yesterday,
You
and
did?
I played a little bit of that Words on Stream. It looks like a
Mhm.
lot of fun. That was great
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, yeah. It was we really loved that. It was
Mm.
brilliant. And I didn't, yeah, there was so many others there. I just, I must have missed you. That's terrible.
Yeah, so full of
Oh,
people. It was, you
oh.
were doing such a, yeah, just, I mean, wow. It was just so much fun. I'm almost tempted to start streaming myself one day.
Oh, you should. You would love it. I'm sure you would make a great hostess.
Oh, thank you.
I think, yeah, that kind of leads us to the next segue of this. I mean, does anyone else have any highlights that they want to share? I mean, for me personally, I updated my website, so it's a little bit newer now. Added in some new pictures, but nothing major. So that's like my recent achievement, spent a couple of hours on web design. But as you know, my heart lies with other types of marketing.
Oh, actually, you know what? I can't believe I didn't mention this.
Hmm?
Just being so distracted by the joy of being on here, but it's actually my sibling's birthday.
Oh, we should do a shout out. I mean,
And
yeah.
we were having a special meal yesterday, and we
Oh,
watched the film Naked Gun. I don't know if you know this one, but
no.
it
What was it
was,
like?
it's a comedy. It's a bit rude in parts. It's maybe not really family friendly. There's a wee bit of slapstick
Mm,
humor. There's a tiny bit of sexual innuendos, and yeah, I think it's Leslie something is the police chief officer and going round and solving crimes in a very offhandish, crazy way.
wow. Oh, yeah. And Scott Moore says there that they started working at 8 a.m. yesterday. Love feeling really tired and sleepy at the beginning of the day. I'm sensing some sarcasm here. I hope your coffee is strong and that your day is good.
Lots of love to Scott.
Lots of love.
Oh, and thank you,
Leslie
Rob.
Nielsen.
That is exactly the person, Leslie Nielsen.
Mm-hmm.
Trust Rob to know this stuff.
Oh, no has. A friend of yours?
Oh yes, thank you, Rob, for joining. Yeah, Rob's. I think maybe might be especially for me. I don't know if you've seen
Oh,
Rob a lot in the
no.
chat before.
That's so nice.
Well, thank you very
Oh,
much for joining for me, Rob. I really appreciate it.
yeah. Always happy to have more people coming into the stream. I love growing the family. Let's talk about, yeah, let's cue into this next segment, which is a brilliant thing. No, oh yeah, questions first. I am going ahead of myself today. I think I had too much coffee this morning. So if anyone have any good questions for Baz, otherwise I'll just shoot off with, what did you have for breakfast today, Baz?
Oh my gosh. If I'd realised you were going to ask that, I would have actually had breakfast.
Yeah.
I did not have any breakfast today because
You
I
haven't?
had a really. We are 2 hours ahead of you. I mean, behind you, so it's only
Oh,
10 a.m. But yeah, over here in the UK, it's only 10 a.m. and I tend to not have breakfast on quite often, just having a larger lunch. But I did have a big dinner yesterday. We had a special meal for my sibling. It was, yeah, a lovely thing. And so I was pretty stuffed and I skipped questions. I'm going to,
yeah. I see at least you're drinking water, so that's good. I mean, if you're in intentional immediate interrogation, always, you know me. It's true. Yeah, I wish. Like, I get a second cup, and sometimes I just, woo, I buzz. And I will buzz all day.
oh,
Morning, Rob.
hello,
Great to
Rob.
have you here.
Hello, Rob. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Where are you, and what time is it where you are at?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm in Glasgow. I'm in the third story of a building, and it is 10:11.
Here it is. I'm in Finland, as you know, always. Hi, in Hämeenlinna in South Finland. It's 12:11.
Ooh. Yeah, but you say this every time. I mean, people know where you are.
I would hope so, yeah. So I just had a morning walk. Do you usually do some exercises or walking in the morning?
Yes, I try to make sure that within a couple of hours, within the first hour or so of getting up, I do have a wee bit of a walk. And I'll admit, today it was a bit of a shorter walk than usual. I was just so excited to get here for this special event. And
Ooh,
um,
yeah.
yeah, I might have otherwise gone even into town or and back, or just to down to the river and back, and spent an hour walking around. But it
Mm.
was just, yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah, right. It's so cool to have Baz on the show. I'm just loving it. Finally, we get to sit down. It's good
But
to see you here. I hope you're having a good day.
me or Nicholas?
Nicholas is having a good day. I mean,
Okay.
I know you're having a good day because you're here with me.
Yay.
Ah. Yeah. So is it sunny today in the UK where you're
Well, I
at?
don't know about the rest of the UK, but in Glasgow, actually, it is a beautiful sky. There's a big grey cloud, and there's lots of little white clouds, and there's a lot of blue. So there's a lot of blue, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm
That's
looking
great.
forward to maybe getting out for a bit of sun and sunshine.
Mm.
I'm really like,
Soaking up D vitamins. I'd
yes,
highly
exactly.
recommend it. Yeah.
The
Ah.
D vitamins exactly for the Dina show, and
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Rob, that there's overcast. I wish the sun would shine down
oh,
upon all of you.
oh well, we
Oh, for
can't
sure. It's lovely
all
day
have the
today.
best weather, I guess.
No blue in Nottingham. Look at us getting a full weather report from the UK. Oh, just grey. I do hope it will clear up later today so you can all get up and soak up some more D vitamins. In the meantime, I will be your D vitamins. I never get tired of that joke.
Oh, you've used it so many times in every show. It's like every 5 minutes.
Oh, nobody's ever called me out on it before, though. Hi! Oh, D vitamin Dina's. I'm gonna hit trending on those one day. How could you know? Like, I'm so bubbly, right? So I'm like the sun. And I always say, if you're having a down day and you can't see the sun for all the clouds in your life, you can be the sun for someone else.
Oh, that is so sweet. and it never ceases to be true.
Or
But what if we can't? But what if we can't be the sun in someone's life, Dina? What if
be
we
the
don't have the
rainbow.
energy? What if we don't have the positivity within ourselves to be the sun?
It's true. It does require a little bit of extra efforts to be the sun in someone else's life. It's what I really try to do here. But you can always be a rainbow. You know, that tiny little spark that just breaks the light into a rainbow for others. Just a smile sometimes is all it really takes.
I see Elaine's asking a strange question. I don't know what's going on. This has always been green. I like, oh, maybe Elaine's asking about me, because normally I wear black, right? And I normally wear quite stark colors like grey and black. But yeah, today I know that normally I'm all dressed up in, suits and black dresses and stuff. But today I just wanted to make a special effort for going on to Dina's show.
Yeah, and I know that my top is like usually just green, but this one has a little bit more blues in it. So I think it's still green enough.
You're still your trademark green. I think you're still very green.
Yeah, and like the setup here is still very much green as usual. I'm thinking of moving in some more plants. It definitely needs more foliage in the background.
And
I see you have some foliage too. Like you got plants, but
yes. This is I think it's called like a spider plant. That's what. So I never looked it up online, but that's what one of my parents told me, and it's just such a, because they're very easy to take care of. You can't really overwater them, and even if you underwater them, they still survive. They're so resilient, and so it's so good. And then they propagate, and then they multiply. So it's really good.
All of a sudden, you have a house full, and it's true what Rob says. Sometimes you are the sun in someone's life, even if you don't realize it.
That's so sweet.
That's a lovely way. Yeah, I love that.
Oh, like it's all about, I guess, relative shadow, when maybe you're like a blue light, even if you want to be a yellow light, a blue light can really be nice. Or for you, sorry, green, I should say a green. But you know what, seriously, maybe you can't always be green, maybe you can't, but maybe you've got that blue and then the yellow and then they combine to make the green. Wait, is that how, look, that's not how light works. That's pigments. Sorry.
But yeah, you're more like the artsy type than the sciencey, so that kind of fits. Yeah, that you would go that route. I'm enjoying it. That was a nice tangent. Thank you, Buzz, for sharing.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Does anyone else have any quick questionable questions for our visitor here today? Yeah. I mean,
I'm not shy. So if you have any questions, I know that sometimes your crowd gets a bit silly and crazy, but don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm going to
You can take it.
I can take it.
All right, so let's go with dreams. We had someone talking about dreams earlier on the show in this 300 series. So what is something that's weird that you dreamt last night?
Oh my gosh, I did actually have a dream. Okay, this is a true story. I was going to put this onto Twitter and then I forgot because I got distracted about this. I dreamt that I was asked in front of it was like a big festival. It was like Glastonbury or something. And I'm actually wearing a Glastonbury t-shirt because this is one of, nice. So there's a giant G, if you can see it.
Oh, that's lovely.
And yeah, so I was asked to be in the front of this festival. I don't know what was exactly going on. We were asked to, it wasn't a music festival. We were just doing talks about games for some reason. And there were like thousands and thousands of people saying, oh, we want to hear these people talk. But I was like the follow-up act. I think it was Eric Lang. I'm not 100% sure because my memory got vague and fuzzy, but it was Eric Lang. And then there was someone else, like another really big name. And then it was me, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I started rapping, and then I started doing this free verse, which is very appropriate for your show because you're all about the free verse. And then I was
so
genuinely, this was my dream last night. And then I just started doing this. It wasn't the best. And then I realized halfway through, I really should have rehearsed this. And that was kind of my slight disappointment. But that makes me wonder.
Freeform. Oh, wow.
Maybe one day, I mean, do you think that it's better if you improvise? I mean, you improvise each day, and that's, you know, difficult going. But do you think there's something more genuine if you improvise, or maybe I should make it a reality? Maybe I should ask UK Games Expo if I could go there and do a sort of free verse rap. I don't know.
I think you should do that. That sounds brilliant. I would definitely show up for something like that. That sounds great. Oh wow. Yeah. And obviously freeform is so impulsive, and you're like taking from the crowd the vibes, and you're speaking the same language, and it does require, you know, quite a lot to just that stepping up to the podium, the first initial. But once you get going, I find that it's quite easy to just, the ball keeps rolling on itself.
I mean, in my dream, I didn't do the best job, but I think if I just practiced things ahead of time, and maybe So
yeah, let's see. We have some questions here. Has Bez designed any games?
Oh wow. Oh, that's a really good question. And oh my gosh, I see that you've changed the banner there. Thank you, Dina. Yes, where's my... I should really be more organized here. I've got a game called Yogi. Oh
yeah,
here.
sure.
And this is I think this is Korean.
Nice.
So this is my name, as you know. I'm all about... I would like to say that the green was done especially for you, Dina, but that would be a lie. That was
I appreciate
just
it. You grabbed
choice. But I did grab the greenest game for you, especially.
The greenest game. I appreciate that.
I'm no Friedman Freeze, but I do design games. I'm very proud of that. I done the L deck, which I'm hoping to get more versions of, and I'm working on... I've actually been thinking maybe, and I'm not just saying this, but someone mentioned, because I offhandedly said all the colors of the rainbow, and they said, oh, are there really? Yeah, actually, all I need is a little bit of green in the shadows, and then it would be all the colors of the rainbow, because there's a tiny bit of pink and blue and purple and red.
Yeah. Wow, there is a tiny bit of green on the top there. Or am I mistaken? Yeah.
It's kind of it's slightly greenish yellow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that I did, and also Cataclysm, that's a game that I made, but I'm really excited to get more things out into the world, including I've had some people really enjoying these wee whimsical creatures that I've made. And I might just redraw them and put them out again.
They're so quirky. Oh, I'm loving that.
Sorry, I don't mean to come into your show and just self-promote, but, you know, since someone actually did ask, I feel bad about self-promoting on your show.
No, that's okay. You know, we're here to talk all about you, and that includes what you do. And self-promotion is perfectly fine. A little bit of a self-plug, you know. Yeah, all right. So we have a question from Nicholas Strachis. It's like, if you were a duck-sized meeple shock meeple for a week, what would be the sound of your favorite smell?
Okay, so this is...
We're really building on this one.
I'm trying to envisage myself, okay, a duck-sized, so a large shark meeple. So I guess, okay, as a shark meatball, what is my favorite smell? Okay, I think I've got it. And then the sound of that would be a sound of, okay, That sound.
Mm-hmm.
That
And
would
that's
be
your
the
favorite
sound of,
snack?
as a duck-sized shark meeple, I think so. I think if I were a
That's so
duck-sized shark
thoughtful.
meeple for a week, that would be the sound. Because should I explain or should I just leave it on?
I mean, if you feel like elaborating, yeah, go with it.
Because I'm thinking, as a duck-sized shark meeple, like maybe I'm being played with in a giant shark game. Like maybe there's a giant shark game and I'm really enjoying it when the humans actually play the game, because that's my purpose in life as a duck-sized shark meeple. And so I'm thinking that it will be the noises of like the human hands, and that will be the thing that I enjoy. That's what I was thinking.
That's really deep. Yeah, so you're basically fulfilling your purpose in life. That sounds like a really nice happy shark.
Hmm.
Robert's saying, is it possible to make and sell a game without a rules document? Ooh. Reason I ask if someone I used to know said that board games could be like computer games and teach as they go along. We saw a thing announced online called Unruly, which made him very excited, but it failed to notice the date of the announcement. Huh.
As in, it didn't mention when the game
When it's
is
going to
coming
be
out.
released?
So I think it is possible. I don't think you have to have rules. I think that okay, I've not I don't think I've ever really talked about this before, but it was yeah, I did last year. Obviously, we are in difficult times right now. We are there's everything going on, and genuinely, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get out together once more, and I will be able to meet, the hostess of this show. It will be lovely to meet you, or maybe we can meet at a convention or something. But
That would be lovely.
just over a year ago, I was at Nuremberg, and then I met all these companies. I was in Nuremberg for the first time as a designer, and are you familiar with this? So for those who don't know, Nuremberg is all about, it's more about toys. You see lots of fireworks there, you see lots of doll stuff, you see lots of material stuff, you see Lego, and there's some big publishers like Hasbro and Bandai and did I mention Lego and Mattel and all of these people, and there's some tiny board game people like Asmodee in this context is a very small person, because in the toy industry, compared to Lego and Mattel and these people, Asmodee is relatively small. So all the board game people are basically in one room, and then all the less board gamey people are in another. Anyway, I was wandering around and checking everything out, and I managed to chat to a lot of the people, and I didn't manage to sell anything, but I did get a lot of feedback, and I got a company that I'm not going to name the name of, but I showed them a couple of games, and they said, "Okay, this seems good. We'll take this one." And then I got an idea of what companies were looking for. I was going to see a bunch of them at Festival International du Jeu, which is in Cannes in February, middle of February. I went to Cannes. It was a lovely holiday. And I made a game, true story, fresh prototype. It had been played once before I went to France, and then it got played a couple more times. Yeah, it worked exactly like I hoped. And I was very proud of it. It's about, I'm not going to explain how it works because it's got one twist that is very clear, but it is a mass market game. It could sell, theoretically hundreds of thousands of copies. And I showed it to the company and they were like, yeah, this is really good. And they were like, and two different companies wanted to take this prototype. I only had one made, so I spent an hour making a second prototype for one of the companies. And so, yeah, both of these companies took this prototype away, and they were going to test with children, but hey, COVID. And so that's an example where I never actually managed to get it sold. I've not been paid anything. I've not got any contracts, but I did have 2 companies take it away because it was a good enough game. But that was a very simple game. That was a game that I can teach in about 30 seconds. And I asked the company, do you need me to write down the rules? And they were like, oh, ce n'est pas important. Something like that.
Not important.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a great story. I didn't know. Thank you for sharing. Hello, Yoda. Happy to have you. Welcome to, another episode of Digital Dina Daily Ditties. The DDDD. Oh, it's so lovely to see everyone coming in for the show today. We had a little chat beforehand before we started the stream, me and Baz, and we were thinking about the brilliant thing for today. So, what is really brilliant things, So, as you know, it's time for brilliant things, and that means brilliance, which can be shared, is in the small things surrounding us. With our eyes, we can sense new lights, new words, brilliance. So I wonder, what is a little thing which is brilliant today?
I love that. Every time you say it, I just wish I could listen to you doing spoken verse over and over.
Oh,
it is so lovely to be hearing, and just every time I hear it when I'm listening, my mind goes blank for a moment, and just relishing the beauty of your words. And to be here as an actual guest on your show, it's so delightful. It's so as much as I'm tempted to make being on your stream a brilliant thing, that would be kind of pandering to you a wee bit too much. But I am going to say, genuinely, and this is also pandering to you quite a bit, but I am going to say green. I know it's your favorite color to wear. I know it's the color that you always have everything in this show, but I just think that green is such a brilliant thing. I think that, it's the color of grass and life, and, I've got a green pencil, and my Yogi is green, and, Friedman Fries is green, and I've got this wee thing from Bodhi, which is kind of a pale bluish green, and just... I think that there's some colors like yellow and green. They remind us of the foliage and all the natural world around us. And so I think it's just such a beautiful color. It's like the color of life.
Oh, I love that. That is truly a brilliant thing. Harper Rob is saying that pandas are brilliant, and pandas do eat a lot of bamboo, which is also green. But they are the cutest. Absolutely sweet little pandas. They don't come in green though, but they do. They carry around a lot of greens.
They could, like, if you had a fantasy panda.
Yeah.
Better. Like, if you were to have would everything be better if it was in green?
See, then green wouldn't be special anymore, right? And green is a brilliant thing because it is just one of many. And it separates itself because it's, it's a special color. It makes us happy. And yeah, as Yoda is saying, green means go, while red says stop. And here we are all about go, go, go. And humor, yeah, that's a good, brilliant thing. Absolutely. It's important to carry humor with us around in our daily lives. Yeah, Nicholas is pointing out there are red pandas. There could definitely be a room for green ones. I wonder what the shade of green they would.
Oh my gosh, what would 50 Shades of Green? Would that be...
It is actually a book. It's about all home planting.
Is it? I was just thinking, would it be about planting whilst in... Is there any nudity or anything, or any naughtiness at all?
Not at all. It's all about home planting and how to grow your own vegetable garden on the balcony, and it's a great read.
I mean, I am drawn in mainly by the title. I imagine I would be disappointed.
50 Shades of Green is Kermit's autobiography. Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, I like that.
I like that one. It should be, yeah. And obviously, if pandas are rolling in the fresh grass, they may become green and black. So that's also true. Yeah, they get a little bit like a yellowish tinge from the grass, though. So it isn't green like like this green. It's
Yeah, but like, don't go
not
spray
pale.
painting pandas green. That wouldn't be.
No,
That would be mean. That would be.
that would be rude.
Sorry, I
You
don't
don't
know
do
why
that.
my mind even went there. It's like, the Alice in Wonderland where they're painting the roses red. Of course,
Oh
if you were the
yeah.
queen in Alice in Wonderland, would you be like getting them to, in your world, would they have yellow grass and maybe they're all painting the grass green?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Or,
that's such a great idea.
or green? Are
Oh,
there green roses?
not the roses, but there are tulips that are green.
Hmm. Hmm.
Bamboozled. It's bamboozling. Yeah. And obviously, guys, remember to comment, ask questions in the chat here, and some like and follow. And today we're meeting Baz. We're talking a lot about life and games and, how artistically expression that the various pursuits of Baz is taking.
Well, it's again lovely to be here. So where do we start?
Okay, maybe we should start with like childhood. Let's go like way back and start from the beginning. All about the journey that led you to today, this Baz that we're meeting here. What, like, do you have any like really early childhood memories?
Yes, I do. I always worry about the noise because when I do this, and I feel like if I do this, I should warn people about the noise. But
Okay.
my first memory is of a Spectrum loading screen. And
Oh,
I don't know if you're familiar with those. The ZX Spectrum back was invented by this UK designer, Clive Sinclair, now knighted Sir Clive Sinclair, who made a bunch of inventions and was on the short list to make the BBC computer, but then they went with another company. But anyway, this was a really big deal back in the day. You had the Commodore 64, and you had the Spectrum, and my siblings are all quite a bit older than me, and they had this little magic box that I didn't well, I knew that there was a box, and on there was moving pictures. I understood that. And then the pictures would maybe sometimes talk to you or things. I understood that. Now I know it's a television. But then there was this other box that they came up with, and then they put another thing into the thing. Now I know in retrospect it's putting a tape cassette into that box. And then came the noise that I'm going to warn people about. So,
okay, so if you're noise sensitive, tune down a little bit. There's gonna come a special noise here. I think that's that's fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is really good. You should definitely take some sip of water there and hydrate. Ooh, that was a
Sorry about that, everyone.
good
But
sound.
it is a really horrible sound, but at the same time, it's something that you associate with potential joy. And you've got about 4 minutes or maybe 5 minutes of this, and then at the end, if you're lucky, you'll be able to play a game, and it'll have loaded. If you're unlucky, you need to do it all over again, because it won't have quite worked. And the first thing that I remember was some sort of drawing package, and then the lines appear on the sides of the screen, and line by line, like a loading screen, it comes up with the picture of the starting graphic on the Spectrum, which, remember, it's only had, I want to say, 8 colors. CMYK, no, green RGB, red, green, blue, because it's and then CMY, because you can mix those and you can have 2 colors at a time, or white if you do all 3, or black. So it doesn't it's either 100% of a color or 0% of a color. There's nothing in between. So it's literally those 8 colors. And so you've got, yeah, this ridiculous screen, and then this just drew me into the world of video games. And my early memories are actually all about video games, of going to Iran, early days. Like, I used to have to go over there. I started to resent it. I really resented it, because every summer I heard that friends at school would be doing other things, but I would be going away. And then it wasn't until maybe I turned 15 or 16 that I started to kind of try and appreciate it for what it was, and try and say, okay, I'm going to enjoy it, even though I would rather be, frankly, able to play video games in Glasgow. And I had my first console was I got a Mega Drive and a SNES back when they were basically going out of fashion. And
Bye. Have a lovely day. Thank you for joining.
Rob. Thank you so much for joining for me. And yeah, lots of love. But yeah, just Prince of Persia and Lode Runner. I have so many memories of these games, and the fantasy of going through these screens that were flicking across, and then trying to overcome the traps, and then the shadow scene in Prince of Persia. People who don't know this scene, I mean, the original Prince of Persia, I'm not talking, the new revamp where it's all 3D. This was this was years and years and years ago. And it was, the animation, it was so far ahead of its time, and like Circus Charlie on this little computer, and that wasn't a particularly good game, but it was like, it was a good game. I'm not saying it was the best game. It's not a game that I would actually play today, but for the time it was decent. And Circus Charlie, Arkanoids, just all these games, and it's captured my mind, not just with the excitement and joy of what I was able to play and moving these little people around, and it was also about having a clear sense of this artificial world. And yeah, also it captured my mind of what video games could be. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Nicholas is asking, did it feel special that it was nominally set in old Iran?
So I mentioned that I was going back to Iran all the time, and yeah, my parents are from Iran. I was born in Glasgow. I have 2 passports, although one of them might be expired, and I have no intentions of, necessarily renewing it anytime. I don't see much points in the renewing passport right now, to be honest. But anyway, so I don't think it did. I think that it didn't resonate with anyone that I know. I played it in Iran. I don't think anyone was like, oh, it's maybe, like, we all knew that Persia was the foreign word for Iran, because just to make it clear, Iran was never called Persia internally. Imagine if in 50 years or whatever, we start calling Germany Deutschland, then we might say, oh, the Prince of Germany, or the General of Germany, or I don't know, because then you've got the alliteration, and that would kind of spawn memories of an old-timey Germany, whatever that might mean to people in the future. But just to make it clear, Persia was always it's a foreign word for Iran. It was always called Iran, and I don't know why it's a completely different word, but
kind of like how it is here in Finland, with Finland having been a part of Russia, but the people here has always been the Suomeksi. Yeah, it sounds like it could be kind of similar. Arkanoid, did you ever play Buzz?
Yes, I loved Arkanoid, and for those who don't know, this is one of those typical bat and ball, destroy the bricks type thing. It's very much reminiscent of Breakout. But yeah, there's just all these special powers, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? And I think that's the kind of thing where, yes, the game is a bit more unfair. It's a little bit less skill-based because it has that randomness, because it has that chaos. But because of that chaos, it brings in drama. It's like, what special power-up am I going to get? And eventually you realize that, whoa, L means lasers or something crazy like that. And yeah, it's just...
Nicholas, Arkanoid is a great fun. See, I was more of a like Dr. Mario, and I played a lot of Robin Hood's Adventures.
I played Dr. Mario, but I never played Robin Hood's Adventures.
It's such a great role-playing game. Like, you had to like really look around your environment and like take with your torch because you needed it like 3 steps further into the castle. And I had so much fun. And I also like got so angry at the game so many times. It's like, this is unsolvable. And then you're getting those magazines, and there's someone who's added a clue, and early days internet. And then you're so annoyed at yourself because why didn't you think about lifting that one tile that looked a bit special on the ground to see, and use the torch with it in order to melt away the glue that was keeping it in its place, so that you may lift it out and pick up the key so that you can open a particular door. And I was like, good times though. I spent a lot of time, a lot of hours.
It's really interesting how games have evolved so much. I don't know this one that Robert's talking about, Defender of the Crown.
Defender of the Crown. I'm not familiar either. Did you play the Dizzy game, a platform game with Dizzy the Egg picking up objects?
I played it a wee bit. I never got too into them. I don't know. Maybe as a child I had very short attention span or something. But I mean, the Dizzy games were so good, but I never played the puzzle-solving games unless they were real-time puzzle games. Do you know what I mean? So I loved Columns. I loved Tetris. I made a video, although I don't know where that vid... I think that I'm actually a wee bit sad now. I think that video might have been on my computer that got stolen, which is slightly sad, where it was my video telling my future self before I got rid of it. I had a... it was like 100 and something in one, but I think it was basically 3 or 4 different games, but it may be like 33 versions which were randomly slightly different difficulty settings. You could pretty much call them different levels, if you know what I mean. It's ridiculous when you've got something that says 25 in one, you're never actually going to get 25 good games. But yeah, I loved playing Dr. Mario. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Wario's Woods. I enjoyed Yoshi's Cookie. I really enjoyed Panel de Pon. I don't know if you're familiar with Panel de Pon.
No. Did they ever game?
So it got redone on the SNES as Tetris Attack. I was so into the SNES. And I don't know if this is appropriate for me to show on the show. Should I actually show some of my SNES games?
Oh, do. Yes, come on, do. Let's do that. I'm excited. I want to see.
I actually... okay, I'm going to take out one of the... Okay, that's the keyboard stand. That's going to the side. And that's... Okay, so... This is Super Jinsei Ni. And Super Jinsei Game, that means the game of life. It's a terrible, terrible game. But Denki Blocks. This is for the Game Boy Color. I love this game. It's all about squidging things together, and then they all get. You have to make a particular shape. Like you are moving everything on the screen left to right, up or down, and you have to make a target shape. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Let me see my top. Okay, so let's actually. I am really tempted to. Is it going? Should I actually just pick up the camera and move it over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's take a tour.
Okay. Wait a minute. Actually, what if? Yeah. Can you see? I can't see what you can see. Let me
I'm
see.
seeing,
Okay,
yeah,
so this
lots
is
of
my
games.
SNES. This is my top drawer. So there is a duplicate of Donkey
Oh,
Kong Country because I just really love it so much. Although I've got to get rid, sell on one or two of them. So we've got Adam's Family, Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt, a really underrated
oh,
Adventures of Dr. Franken, which are Aero the Acrobat. I was really into Alien Free. Oh, Super Drop Zone. Actually, this was a really good one. Battletoads and Battle Maniacs. Oh, Bob, this is like just a mean person who goes around and
oh, I played that one.
Breath of Fire
Wow,
games, the
that's
original ones, the
impressive.
Chaos Engine, Chrono Trigger, this
Chrono Trigger. Mm-hmm.
Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3, obviously, Dirt Tracks. Oh,
Look at all those
Equinox, that's is
games.
such a good one. This is, don't be confused, this is, I think, actually Final Fantasy 4, but it was called 2 in the West and Final
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy 6. F-Zero, I actually much prefer the N64 version, I'm going to admit. Hibariki's Poppoon, that is such a good game. That's such a good game. Illusion of Time's really good. And Kirby's Fun Pack, I really like that one. And that's and that is this entire chest of drawers is basically just so we've got
World building
Parodius
Chrono
and
Trigger. I do agree, Yoda. That's
Plock. So Plock is about a person who can literally tear off. This sounds really horrible, but it's about someone who can take off their limbs. They've got disembodied limbs that they can just throw as weapons. It's kind of ridiculous. And Out to Lunch is just, honestly, it wasn't ever worth it at full price, if you know what I mean. But as a quick game, as a silly, like Pack Attack, this is a kind of thing that I wouldn't want to pay 40 quid for or something, but
Pack Attack.
actually, so this is like Pac-Man. It's a Tetris-y style game, and you've occasionally got Pac-Man and Pax kind of eat all the ghosts if you've got the super pill. It's a really weird one. And then, anyway, that is
wow.
And that's the end of my these are my favorite SNES games. These are all my favorites. So then we've got Yoshi's Island. Oh, that's such a good game. Of course, Super Pro Bit Sector, Terranigma's really good. Tetris Attack. Yeah, Tetris Attack. Okay, so Tetris Attack, just to show you, it used to be called Panel de Pont. It was also released as something else, but Panel de Pont is the best version because it's got little fairies in it. And UN Squadron, Uni Rally. I am never going to get rid of these three. I know I've got 3 versions of the same game, but you can only have so many save files. So this is one of my favorite games of all time. Seriously, Uni Rally, Uni Racers. Zoop is a ridiculous thing. I keep wanting to like it, but it's not very good, to be honest. Those are some of my NES games and N64.
Wow, what a collection.
Those are my prized Nintendo games.
Oh, thank you for showing. Wow, so many old memories. Yeah, we only had Final Fantasy in like the Japanese version, so we used to have the characters all written on paper, and then we would like try to figure out what each of them would mean, to like figure out how we could progress in the game. So we just had like pages and pages with notes on like how to play Final Fantasy. Because my dad was a sailor, so he would pick up games because he's an engineer on boats. So he would pick up a bunch of games. Yeah, and then obviously, Chrono Trigger world building from Nicholas Rock here, and such a great game.
I never actually played this. I never played Solstice, but yeah, they were both. Also, there was one on the Spectrum. I can't remember what it was called, like Nightmare or Night Lore or Night something. I can't. But maybe someone else can. But having this element of an isometric view, so you can essentially get a feeling of 3D, even though it's all, that's really cool.
Bomberman. I did not play that one.
If you really like Bomberman, the best version is Saturn Bomberman, in my opinion. Because the Saturn Bomberman, I believe, can play 10 people. And it's all on one TV. And
stretching time.
Oh, I like how you've got these. Is there a certain routine that you always use, or do you?
Just posture check. And always, since I sit so much on the desk, I always try to like do a spine twist. It feels so much better.
Yes, Saturn Bomberman. As a child, I got the Saturn. I was almost an early adopter of it. I had a paper round. I put all my money in to get the Saturn, and then got Saturn Bomberman and a multi-tap, and everyone was playing it. And then we would play Saturn Bomberman, and then we'd go off to play football. And it was such a lovely memory. And I would love to get that rigged up somehow in London. And it's weird because I've been here for a few months and I've not actually turned on any of my consoles. I don't know whether it's because I've moved on, or maybe I'm slightly worried that I'll kind of turn it on, because it's been a good 7 years, I want to say. And because since I don't normally live here, so, you won't have known this at all, because how could... well, no one watching would have known this, of course, but I normally based in London. Now I'm currently living in my parents' place in Glasgow. And so I'm lucky enough that I've still got this room. I'm still able to keep that chest of drawers and still got some boxes up there, although, there's other people sleeping in this room normally, sometimes when I'm not here. And it's really... Yeah, I don't know. I'll be interested to plug it in. I don't know, maybe that should be, because we talked about me maybe starting streaming. Maybe that's what I should do. I don't know how I would do that. Like, kind of hook it up to a TV, although you couldn't really do that. Have a camera on the TV. Nah.
No. It would have to be like on your hands, probably, and then depending on what sort of TV you have, you could hook it up to stream from there. But yeah, you might have to run an emulator or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. That's not the same for me. And the bottom drawer, in case people were wondering, was
Just showed us that Bomberman Online is coming. 64 people against each other.
I played Bomberman Online on the Xbox. So there was an Xbox version which was very similar on the Xbox 360, and you could play against people, and I did enjoy that, and it was fine. But it's never the same as lots of people having joypads themselves and all playing around the thing. The reason why I've got Super Bomberman 3 in that prize collection thing is because it can have 5 people playing it, whereas the other ones are only 4 on the SNES. So but
that extra family member.
And like, when we go back to things like Micro Machines, when they made the original Micro Machines the original Micro Machines, and then it was all about, one person putting the buttons on this side of the joypad, and one person, so you could actually have 4 people playing, even just with 2 joypads. And then they had another advancement, which was, you can actually plug the joypad straight into the cartridge, because it was adding hardware essentially. And no, it was
couch multiplayer. Yes.
But no, I loved, just to clarify, my early memories are of drawing maps of video games that never existed, kind of thinking, if someone was jumping across and someone was, how would we surprise the player? And I wasn't thinking about it in the same way that I would nowadays, but I was kind of thinking, what would be a cool level to go through? And I would sort of draw this big scroll, which would maybe go left to right on the paper and then continue. And then I had like when Mario 64 came out, I was kind of thinking of things, and then when it was, oh my god, there's this new course in Aberdeen, Dundee, where I can go and learn about making video games. This is amazing. And like as a child, I had a calculator, which I've still got, and on this calculator, it's a graphics calculator, so you can program things, and the programming is meant to be for more serious things. But of course, when people have this, they always use it for games. And I made a game called I Love Revenge, where basically it was grid coordinates instead of a world map, but then you'd write grid coordinates, and then you'd say, oh, there's a house, and then you press enter, and then you'd go onto a little map of a house, and then you could move your little thing around, and then you could even fall down cracks onto like a floor below, and then you'd have to come back up on a, and I was really proud of it. And for me, it wasn't drawing. I never liked to draw other people's maps.
I did this too. World maps of Zelda, yeah, and Final Fantasy maps. Yeah, I had a lot of those. Do you think that this like early memory of you just playing games and spending a lot of time in order to like doing paper rounds to get more games just really made you the game designer?
Definitely.
Like, when was it that you kind of thought like, hey, I could actually make games?
I think that I always felt like I was going to want to work in the games industry, but weirdly, when I was a child, I felt like it was going to be video games. And because back then I knew that it could be possible, because I think the nice thing about the spectrum is that you have to do a little bit of coding, and quite often in magazines they said, oh, type this bit of code and then something can work. And it's not like a modern computer where we have no idea how to program this. Do you know what I mean? You'd need to have your own assembler. You'd have to be able to program in C to make something that can actually run in OS X and Windows. That's a lot more challenging than making something for the BBC. The BBC was custom set up so that anyone could make something so easily. And I think that's what drew me in. That's definitely what made me aware. And I have memories of writing a game book, kind of go to this path or go to this path, and one of the two ways you die. And it wasn't even interesting. It just said, you die, try again. And then if you kept on choosing the correct path, eventually you'd make your way out of the deadly maze, and then you'd find yourself in a village. And it said, choose which house you go to. And if you went to the wrong house, you died, and you were just kind of killed without much ceremony. It was very brutal because I was trying to not have to write too much, but I didn't understand that just being killed isn't actually interesting. This was when I was very young, please bear in mind, and please don't judge me too harshly. But when I went to university, the key thing that I learned was how to work in Flash, and then I made a lot of games in Flash. I made Exorbis 2, which is still up online. It's not as good as I would do today, but I'm still proud of it. It still feels like something that, yeah, and there was a little bit of payment because we got sponsorship from, and we got like 1 million people playing it, which felt, or not 1 million people necessarily. We got way over 1 million plays, which to be fair might be well, it's probably not 1,000 people playing it. You know what I mean? It's somewhere.
Yeah.
And we got loads of comments. And even the negative comments, I valued them so much. It was like this feedback. It's like people are actually playing my things, and Newgrounds, and being able to put things onto Congregate, onto Newgrounds before that. And Congregate was the new kid on the block, but I did really like Congregate's achievements. And Congregate seemed to learn a lot from Xbox Live Arcade, where it was all, hey, can you do this for this many gamer points? Can you do this for this many gamer points? And gamifying the act of playing a game, whilst it can take away from the enjoyment, and there is definitely a risk of, hey, if I'm making my way through the game, maybe I don't want to be reminded of, hey, I've missed this many things, and now I'm feeling a little bit of tension about that. Maybe I actually want my achievements to be hidden. But it definitely, for Congregate, it was almost like a way of highlighting certain games, because not every game gets achievements, and then it comes together. Anyway, getting this feedback, being able to make things, making things at university, making things for the PlayStation. I actually made a game that could play on back then it was called the Yarose, and yeah, it was such a joy. And it wasn't until quite a bit after that I actually rediscovered board games.
Yeah, and this Judah is sharing that after playing A Link to the Past, they designed characters, weapons, levels for their own video game, and saying that they might still have them somewhere. Maybe redesign it as a campaign board game. I think that would be great. Definitely,
that sounds really
I'd be
fun.
up for playing it. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean, yeah, if you can get something that captures that spirit and doesn't have, yeah. So, yeah, you'll definitely have to make some tweaks to make it work for the thing, because there's definitely some games like Portal, if you know Portal, and Chronotron, and Cursor Asterisk 10.
Not the last ones, but familiar with Portal.
So Chronotron is a time travel thing. It's a flash game where you go along, and it's what they call a single player cooperative game. So Chronotron, the first level, there's a little button that makes a lift go up, and it says, hey, you press this button, but once you step off it, the lift comes down. So don't worry, you can rewind time, and here you've got your past self. And so your past self goes onto the button, and then you go onto the lift, and then you go up, and yeah, it's just so you're kind of thinking what your future self is, what your next self is going to do, I should say, rather than your future. But yeah, it's that. And then Cursor Asterisk 10 does a very similar thing. But these are things that you can't really do, that kind of time thing, that space-time thing, and that kind of Twitch gameplay that you get with shoot-em-ups, or that can't really be done with video games, but you can capture little bits of that spirit and repurpose it somehow.
Yeah, that's a great direction. So it really sounds like you fell in love with games just at the beginning. When was it that you transitioned from video games to like board games? I'm like
2008. I know that sounds
very
like
specific.
I say that because that's when I made my first Board Game Geek account. So
okay,
I had heard about Go. I had heard about Go from comics, from media, and it's this brilliant in-depth game, and I wanted to try it out. I heard that if you play against a computer is never good as a human, but you know, obviously that's not true today. But even back in those days, even like 10 years ago, whatever, what they don't tell you is that a computer is worse than a very accomplished human. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're starting off, a computer can soundly thrash you. But playing against a computer, that was a safe space to learn. I was able to get to know, okay, this is how the game works. Then I found, I think, Go on Facebook. There used to be an adaptation to it, which has gone away, which is kind of sad. But there was a really nice version, which has gone away. And
I wonder if they're hiding it within the Messenger function now, because some games can still be found within the Messenger system instead of a Facebook. So maybe it's still hiding in there.
Yeah, I went to this thing. It was definitely one day it was there, and then the next day it said, we've had to retire this because we have to pay some sort of costs, and this was done as a labor of love. They weren't actually making any money from it. It was just purely a really nice thing that someone wanted to do for the community. Oh yes, hello Xate. And yeah, normally I'm wearing drab colors like black and grey. We've already been over this, but I decided to dress with something brighter for Dina's special, because I'm a special guest.
Yeah, it's 330 today. Can you believe it? 300. There was a little break, where I didn't stream, but as far as daily streams goes, this is hashtag win. I'm really glad you could drop by, Zach, for the daily Dina digital ditties.
And oh my gosh, what have you got there going on?
Lots and lots of love to say. I hope you're doing good with today, and work is fine, and yeah, may the sun shine upon you and give you a brilliant day. 5-year anniversary on Board Game Geek. Wow, that is quite the achievement. Are you gonna do something special for it?
I mean,
It's 5 years.
It is, and
you get a badge for that.
Like, I got my account deleted, and
yeah. But apparently there's a Dragon Ed hunt going on Board Game Arena. That sounds like fun. I should totally check it out later today.
I don't know what that is. But that sounds very interesting.
Yeah. So what, you're like playing games to go and find dragon eggs in it, or
is it just in certain news pages, or?
Oh, that could also be.
Is it like different pages within the website? You find an egg and then you click on it, and then it gives something for your
all over Board Game Arena. Huh.
So is it like maybe there's like little achievements, like maybe some of them you've got to do something special to find, or?
This sounds like fun. So it's like a mini game within Board Game Arena site. So is it to make people browse more of the pages, or is the aim to just, I don't know, achievements? Hidden across the site. Yeah, right?
Is there any chance of you giving us like some special hints to find our first egg?
20 of them. That's quite a handful. I mean, any insider tips to get us started?
Yeah, I mean, hint, open Board Game Arena. Okay, maybe that gives us the first one.
Okay. I'll do that after the stream is out.
But yeah, that sounds good. I wonder how long it's been since my new account, because boardgamegeek.com.
I think the 5-year is where you get, is it veteran? Or I can't remember what badge it is. I've been there for more than 10 years now, so I have the 3rd badge that they give you. But that would be so much fun to have you on, so we can see your new badge, and then you get to add it. Yeah,
so apparently
your collection.
So Stuff by Bez, I joined the site 2017, 13th of November, but that was my 2nd account, because my previous account was deleted. So that's only less than 4 years old. Whereas, yeah, my first account was 2008, February. And so that's 13 years. And yeah, I found Go, and then I was trying to find other people to play with, and I tried to find like people maybe to play other games with when I came back to Glasgow. And then I found Board Game Geek and was like, oh wow, there are so many amazing games. How did I not know about these amazing games? And then I found boardspace.net, which lets you play all these abstract games. And then via Board Game Geek, I found Ian and Nick and other Glaswegians who let people into their house. Like, just if you're a stranger, you can join their house. And I was like, okay, great. And the first time that I went with my friend, so like we knew what we were getting into, and was like, okay, we ended up playing Puerto Rico and Lost Cities. And I remember that quite vividly, because we turned up a wee bit late. They said, okay, we've already started, but here, because you're new, let me show you this wee thing. You can play this 2-player game until we finished our game, and then you can join us for the next game. And then it's like, Puerto Rico, and I had looked at Board Game Geek and I knew that was #1. It's like, oh wow, that sounds really cool. And so that was me, and I was hooked. And then it was like UK Games Expo 2011, and then I started trying to make more board games and like getting inspired by all these amazing things. And then I went to London, and then I found Playtest UK and Rob. Oh shoot, Rob Harris. That's the one. Rob Harris. So many Robs and Roberts. Sorry, Robert and Roberts. But Rob Harris has this lovely thing called Playtest UK, where in London at the time there were 2 meetups a month, and now like 2 meetups a month, that's not enough. Where I think in London at the start of 2020 we had about 11 a month, something like that.
Oh,
And so
wow.
you could easily maybe more. No, because there was 4 in the Jugged Hare, 4 in Royal Festival Hall, 1 Sunday, I think 2 or 4 in South London. So that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, plus some in Enfield, at least 2 of them, so 13. Yeah, at least 13 a month. And that's a typical 4-week month. And so it got to the point where I was saying, you know what? I'm not even going to go to all of them. I'm just going to go to the Friday ones. And sometimes I'll go to Enfield and probably not even go to Jugged Hare, let alone south of the river, because... But back in the day, having that once a month for a couple of hours, knowing that I was going to get my game tested, knowing that there were these amazing people like Brett Gilbert and Matthew Dunstan was there the first time that I popped in, and these amazing designers that I know you've had on your show, both of them, such lovely people.
Oh, lovely.
And I think that, you know, these so often co-designers, but Rob himself is like it's just so wonderful having people who know what they're talking about giving you feedback, or people who care about games giving you feedback, people who know something about games. And it was very much because of Playtest UK that I was able to get to where I am today. Do you know what I mean? It was because of that. I have memories of back then. I was going to I ended up kickstarting it as in a bind, and I had people doing actual sit-ups, having to hop around a table, having to spin around. It was a lot more extreme than it currently is. And some of that stuff I'll never bring back unless if someone wants to make some custom cards, you do what you want. You go on, but it's not quite... I wouldn't be comfortable asking Gigamic to mass produce something like that. Yogi Guru was as far as I felt I could push it, and I don't think any of those cards were tweaked from what I submitted. But I'm really... This is what allowed me to get that game made. This is what allowed me to get Wibble playtested. This is what allowed me to get all sorts of other games playtested that maybe are never going to be published. But just by going through that process, I learned so much. And by playing, okay, here's a more in-depth auction game. Here's like something where we're beating up people over a warlike thing. And yeah, I did make a kind of hex and shit war game. But even though I don't feel like I'm necessarily drawn towards that style, I learned so much from it. And I learned so much because all of the games, and I've now gotten to... Sorry, I'm just getting carried away.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing the passion. Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing. So when you were doing all these play testings in London, was there did you get any harsh feedback, and how did you deal with that?
Oh, wow. I don't mind harsh feedback. Look, on Newgrounds, when I'm submitting an electronic game to strangers on the internet, I can't imagine someone who's across the table giving you harsher feedback than someone who's never met you and is playing the game of this stranger and says, "This is ridiculous," or "Bleep this, bleep." And that is literally their feedback. Sometimes, and if it was literally just "bleep this, bleep," that might be deleted because it might be seen as not a proper review by Newgrounds standards. But if someone says, "This is completely terrible, that would be seen as a legitimate review. Because, that is a legitimate review. If someone says this is completely terrible, or this is complete trash, or why would I ever want to play this? And I'm not going to say that those were the majority of the things in Newgrounds, because if someone's going to take the time to type something up, then probably people do actually express positivity, which is really nice. And on Newgrounds, any people are only allowed to give one review. It's not like Congregate or YouTube where you can give loads of comments. It's actually, you give a review, you have to give it a number. And as a creator, as someone who's made a thing, and it's like, okay, what's going on? I got to learn to treat these things as everything's a work in progress. I learned to upload things where maybe it was to protect my own ego, but I learned to upload things where I was saying, okay, this is this game version 0.5. It is playable. It's a game that you might enjoy. I had a bit of fun with it. It's not as good as I would like it to be, but it's... And that kind of sets your expectations a little bit. If I say it's version 0 point something, then you know not to expect too much. And there were definitely, as I carried on, there were people who kept coming, and some people said... So when I got into board games, because you're across the table from someone, it's always done from a place of love. Brett is one of the harshest critics that I know from reputation, but I've never felt like Brett has criticized my work that much. And honestly, when I hear people saying Brett is really harsh, I've been on the side when Brett has talked to someone about their work, saying, hey, this is your work, maybe throw away this half of it, but this one aspect, this is really good, this is really interesting, you've got a solid game here. And Brett is actually being really encouraging, but that person is too blind, too jaded by that one aspect of they are having to throw away something to focus on the positive. I think you need to focus on there is positive and negative mixed in. Earlier on, you were talking about even if you can't be the sunshine in someone's life, you can be the rainbow. And I think that's what it is. It's like the sun mixed with the rain produces this beautiful rainbow. And then, just Brett Gilbert. I mean, so much love for Brett. And I try to embody that. And I do try to, with someone, I try to be harsh. I try to be sincere. If something's not good, I don't try to say, yes, but I try to find the joy in a thing, because it's important to try and do that. But if someone's presenting something as a friend, hey, I made you a thing, I'm not going to start critiquing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, thank you very much, you made me this thing. If someone is... And if someone's going to say hello, then...
Morning!
Morning,
it is, great to have you over for the Digital Dina Daily Ditties. Today I have Bez with me. We've been trying really long now to get Bez on my show here, so super stoked about making this happen. I'm glad you could join us.
Oh, wow. And...
Woo! 18! Whoa, that's just two more. Was it 20? Yeah. Hey, way to go.
That's in 10 minutes. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Morning. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Michael. I'm really excited to be on this show. Dina's Daily Digital Discussions.
So glad you all could join. Oh.
But no, I love Brett. And I definitely think that submitting animations and games to Newgrounds and having that internet feedback, craving that internet feedback, I would rather someone gave me harsh feedback and say, look, if someone just says this is trash, I don't actually get that much from it, I'm going to admit. But I would almost prefer this is trash than silence, because at least someone's taken note of it. But let's say I get one person, I would prefer, I hated the way you kept using purple, than site, I would prefer that. I would prefer one of those comments to, nice work, 5 out of 10. I would prefer, because the former actually gives me something to work on. It's like, okay, this person hates the way I use purple. I've got to ask myself, why did I use this purple in this way? Is it because I really have to do it? Am I willing to change that for the audience? This might make me think about things in a different way. And I think all of this
earlier, and earlier on the show, we talked about like color theory. I think it was in the 200 series, if I remember correctly, like how colors is influencing us in terms of like familiarity and associations in game design. So yeah, like you would have to look at like, am I using too much purple? Is the purple necessary? And what other ways could other colors be utilized in the design? That's gives you a direction. Cyan is better. I'm gonna choose to ignore that one. Nah.
I mean, you prefer something with a little bit more green in it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, cyan is closer to greens and purple, so.
Yeah, but like that's where it at.
But I just felt such a warm embrace, because any negativity, any criticism comes from a place of, we want to make this game better. And oh man, I just noticed teal it like it is.
Teal it like. Oh, yep.
No, sorry.
You lost your
thread
there.
Have I answered the question? You asked about feedback, and have I answered the question?
So how do you deal with like negative feedback? And have you ever had instances where there was really negative feedback given to you on a game? How do you like work into the iterations when you are getting the feedback, positive or negative?
Those are really good questions. I knew that you were kind of a hard-hitting host, but sometimes
I try not to be too hard, but I think you can handle it.
No, it's not like you kind of just, these are things that I kind of have to think about. So firstly, how do you handle negative feedback? Firstly, remember that not everyone is in your target audience. And so I guess if you are trying to make a silly, frantic game and someone doesn't like that kind of game, then it's okay if they don't like it. I guess the second thing is, if they are in the target audience and they don't like it, then you've got to be honest with yourself, and you've got to remember it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can always move a little bit more towards perfection. And they are giving you feedback because they care. They wouldn't give you negative feedback and be so direct if they didn't actually care. And it's just, I just love. And the third one was, have I ever got any particularly harsh feedback? I can't think of anything really. Like, it hasn't stuck with me. I mean, I don't feel like need to like remember that, if you know what I mean. I can think of the most insightful feedback. The most insightful feedback I ever got was by Ben Neumann when I made a game, I think it was called Redonkulous, and it was overly complicated. It was all about passing cards back and forth, and then there was one card in it that said, stand up. If you ever sit down, give this card to someone else. If you have this card at the end of the game, it gives you 10 points. And that was the one card, that was the only physical card, and that game went on to become In a Bind. So that was as much physicality as it had. And that was a case of Ben Neumann saying to me, hey, Bez, if you want to make a physical game, just do it. You don't try and make it. And so it went easier. And kind of bearing in mind that permission and that encouragement to kind of go a little bit more extreme and be the most extreme version of yourself that you can be. So that was a very...
Really takes us back to the, going the extra mile, being the most extreme of you. Yeah, I love that.
100%.
Those have some good Yeah. So we haven't really touched upon like your other interests than games. Like comics, for example. It's quite a lot. Like we were talking about audience, it might not be your audience, and there is quite an overlap in terms of like comic and board games and video games. How has that been for you?
Wow. I guess I do love to create things. I mean, back in the day, I remember just after I left, I I've got these drawings that I did from when I was in early school. I never did a art GCSE or hires or anything because the art teachers hated me and really turned me off it. But when I was working in well-known supermarkets in the UK, and this was like the biggest superstore that was opening in the UK at the time. This would have been 2007, so quite a few years ago. But this was just after I'd basically failed second year of university twice. Anyway, let's not get into it. But then I was like, yeah, I'm just drawing little comics on these receipts. I got really into web comics. I loved Sam and Fuzzy. I actually have here's the Sam and Fuzzy comic.
Nice.
Here's a little John Allison comic, Ahoy Hoy, and questionable content, and Ryan Estrada. And it was, I honestly hadn't planned all this, but Ryan Estrada was such a big influence. And then Ryan Estrada had this thing. This was just after I came back to the UK, where Ryan so Scott McCloud is a person who's best known for writing understanding comics, but should be better known for writing Zot, which is a beautiful comic which I encourage everyone to read. But anyway, Scott McCloud invented the idea of a 24-hour comic. The idea being that Scott was at a convention being like, oh man, I've not drawn a comic in a while. Hey, my friend's not drawn a comic in a while. Why is this? Hey, my friend is drawing so quickly for all these fans at this convention coming up and asking for drawings. You know what? I bet we could draw a comic in a day if we really tried. You know what? That's an idea. Maybe we draw a comic in a day. And then Scott McCloud and two other people, or it might be three other people, all did a 24-hour comic, which the idea is you do 24 pages in 24 hours. And that's the rule for a 24-hour comic. It's as simple as that. You kind of lower the barrier of how good it has to be. And my nemesis, my fake nemesis, my actual friend, Brian Estrada, did a 24-hour comic and then failed, and then did a 48-hour comic, and it was kind of done in a cheaty way with the words added after the 48 hours, and then did a 72-hour comic where it was 72 pages in 72 hours. And Ryan, I actually got that because it was a sort of first person to buy at least 3 copies of my book gets this comic. So I was like, okay, I'll buy this book. Let's see if I can. And so that's why I've got this version of Cartoon Coup, and I've also got this special thing where Ryan Estrada's got this. This is a one of a kind. The man has a bike ride and then he gets attacked by some mean ninjas. But it's autobiographical, some parts of it, and it was all created about an actual going to work for someone who was trying to do a coup of a company. And I got super into it. The 72-hour comic, that was such good fun. I was working in some jobs that I wasn't particularly interested in. At the time, I had finished working for supermarkets. That's how I was transferred from Dundee to Glasgow. I was then working for I spent a day walking into shops, not actually, just promoting myself, saying, hey, I want a job here. Will you give me a job? And then this one shop said, I don't know. And then I said, you know what? I will work for you for 2 hours for free and then give me a job at the end of it. And they said, okay, well, we need someone to do some waiting. And then that's how I got that job. Oh, I see our
searching time.
And then I left that job because I was about to go back to college for art. And so I hadn't ever done art properly, but I was really keen on going to college, and then I ended up going to university, jumping ahead of myself. But during this thing, I spent 100 hours. I made a 100-hour comic where I did 100 pages, and they were all colored, and they're all watercolored, and it's not the best story, I'm going to admit, but it is a cohesive story with bits of surrealism. I was a bit sleep deprived, so some bits don't make the best sense. There's like a giant drill, and there's maybe references to politics and Tony Blair and stuff, but and mind control, and there might be some evil real life robot. Anyway, so that was a thing. And then I went to Thailand. I met my fake nemesis, Ryan Estrada, and then we hung out. And then Ryan did a 168-hour comic, which was one solid week of making a book, which is actually really solid. You can go to their website. It's called PedXing. It's a book about someone trying to make it to the other side of the road, and then they decided not to cross the road, and they go the other way, and they take a day off school, which they're not meant to do, but then they end up in all sorts of adventures, literally underground, and it's kind of... but then I did during my year at college, I averaged 24-page comic every single day, and some of them were really nicely drawn, and I'm still proud of them. I was just looking to see if I can...
May or may not have one close by.
It's going to be a bit difficult to... But I think some of them might be... But then on the final day, I'm not going to lie, I had about this, but a third of it was left to do. So on the final day of my official college year, I averaged a page a minute, basically, for quite a while, where it was incredibly low quality. It was stick people and on tiny little A6 pages, but they were comics, damn it. And so I did average 24-page comic every single day for that thing.
So that kind of leads me to my next question. So I wanted to know, like, for you, like, what defines a comic?
I like Scott McCloud's definition that it's a couple of at least two images put in a deliberate order that have some sort of intended relationship to each other. I guess that gets into the question of whether a triptych is a comic. And
is it? Do you think it should be?
I don't know. I feel like it's very much on the borderline, but it could be considered a comic for sure. And I'm not going to say, no, this is definitely not a comic. I would say it doesn't feel like a comic to me because it's all about space rather than time. But
thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Breakfast, brunch, bedtime, bath time, 10 a.m. UK, noon finish time. We're always here. I'm so glad to have you following us. Thank you.
I'm excited that it happened during my appearance in your show, Dina.
Yeah, right? Oh, I love that.
But no, like, I'm just imagining, let's say you had 12 pages with lots of panels and they were all about one moment. Let's say all of these pages, all of the panels were literally just about one moment. I think because Japanese comics do this quite a bit with the slower paced things when they've got enough space. And I think that would be a comic. But I think the reason that...
A comic strip with 3 panels is a comic? But then there's quite a lot of comics.
But a triptych... I mean, I consider a comic strip with 2 panels if there's time, like with the archetypal, person with hats off. I would say that is a comic, but there's time elapsing. Do you know what I mean? Within a triptych, it's all just one space, but then at the same time, I don't consider... I guess yeah, a triptych feels like it's less a comic. Maybe the more that time elapses, the more a comic it is, and the more that there's more panels, the more comic-y it is. Because if time elapses, that's definitely a comic to me. And if there's more panels, that makes it more of a comic. So if there's just 2 panels and they are showing the same object but from different angles, is that a comic? Like, is a, you know, when you've got an animation and then they show the same figure from different directions, is that a comic? I would say no, but if they did it, but maybe it is. Maybe that is actually a comic.
I mean, I saw a hot take on Twitter here a couple of days ago with like, if it doesn't have dialogue, it's not a comic. What do you feel about that? The face. Okay, work us through this. Like, what is your initial response then?
No, words are not necessary for being a comic. You can have text. You need pictorial references. It doesn't need to be representational pictures necessarily, but it has to be pictures. But I don't think there has to be text. I mean, I get that some people might see comic as the fusion between the words and the images, and I get that. But for me, if you have in the same way as you can have a film, and you can have a film that doesn't have any not full voice in it, Belleville Rendezvous is a relatively modern example. If we want to ignore all the lovely old Charlie Chaplin stuff, look at Belleville Rendezvous, which doesn't have I think it has maybe 3 lines of dialogue in the entire film. And is it that even if those lines of dialogue were removed, that would still be a film to me, because it's about the moving images. To me, the comics isn't about the interplay between words and pictures. To me, comics is about the interplay of space in the page meaning something else. So maybe the space means time. Maybe the space means a change in subject, but it's something that we read and it's kind of some sorts of pictures, or maybe it's meant to be a sequence of abstract images that we read in a certain order. If we had, let's say it was just completely non-representational abstract images that were meant to evoke a certain mood, if you read them in a certain order, that to me would still be a comic, even if there's no people there, nothing that you could say, even if it was like something more like Mondrian or Kandinsky.
Yeah, because I know some people will call it like a pictorial experience rather than a comic. So yeah. It's cross between. Hot takes on Twitter are always just that, hot takes, right?
Yeah, and Twitter's never the best place for recent discussion, but it's a nice place to start the discussion.
Yeah, and it evokes obviously an instant emotion. Is a trigger that no, it doesn't need to have dialogue. So that was great. Yeah, I love that I got to get you talking about that, because people's definition of things can often like differ a little bit, and just finding that common ground and exactly who doesn't love a good Mondrian?
Also, it doesn't have the green in it, does it? All that blue, black, white, red, yellow. Doesn't have the standard Dina color.
No. Well, I suppose I could still enjoy them. I'd have to imagine there to be a little.
I know you're not actually, even though we sometimes pretend like you are this extreme person who paints the walls green and always lives in green. I've seen you occasionally. Don't worry, I'm not going to. But you do have some clothes that are not green.
Yeah, I do. I have this one Easter or what is it, Yule T-shirt that is like red. So Might have a black shirt or something to like use underneath green vest or something.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
we
that
all need a
black
good.
with black with the highlights. It always works well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? And everyone needs a good base wardrobe. It's all about anything that comes on top. Accessorize. Makes it all shine. And I know not everyone is going to be super comfortable with wearing colors all the time, and being able to dress, you know, a little bit more muted sometimes can be good. I mean, you're a great example on this, and
Oh,
but that really just allows, I think it really allows your hair to just really shine, and it brings on the personality and those curls of yours.
oh,
Girl, you're killing it.
oh.
Oh, if I could
Thank
have
you very
waves like
much.
yours, like mine's so hardly waved at all. They're
It
like,
just means that they are quite hard to manage. But
I bet.
I see you've brought up the next question.
I did. Yes. Your relationship to music. Because you have a lot of like artistic outlets. And you know, there's comics and video games and board games, and then there's like music. How does that fit into the whole picture for you, and how did you get in there?
Oh, wow. That's two questions. So, how does it fit in these days? Not enough is the truth. And
Hmm.
how did I get into there? Well, that's a bit of a story. So, it started off when I was cajoled at an early age to start playing the piano.
Mm.
I really appreciate it. I had a first teacher who was super strict and wasn't the best, but then I've come out of the end of it okay. But the second teacher was lackadaisical. It seems like they just didn't
Ooh.
care. And then the third teacher was really good. And so I think that was someone called Rob Foxcroft, or might be. I don't even know if they're still teaching. I remember them being relatively young. Like they might have been 30 then. So they would, I assume
Hmm.
they're still teaching now. I don't know. They might have been older. They might, I don't know, 40. I don't know. I wasn't the best at telling ages because, you know, when you're a tiny child, you can tell the difference
Everyone's
between a
old.
60-year-old and a 30-year-old, but probably not a 30 and a 45. Because, you know,
Mm.
you're. And so, anyway, got playing the piano. With my third teacher, I just really enjoyed it. I embraced the joy of improvisation. I have to admit, the first teacher that I was playing with, my parents did have this possibly problematic thing where for a while I was allowed to play video games as many hours as I practiced the piano. So I learned to play the piano improvising whilst not really think about it and reading a comic. So I would be maybe reading the Beano
Ooh.
or something, and meanwhile just kind of playing the piano. And because my parents couldn't really tell the difference, because it was pleasant enough, um, yeah, that counted as hours
That's
of playing the piano. And
brilliant.
then,
Oh wow.
actually, when I think about it, that wasn't even what they were trying to go for, but maybe that did improve my ability to improvise. And so now I'm in a place where, yeah, last year when I went to Cannes, I am going to go into the train station and just sit down for a bit of time and play the piano before I head on to the
Mm.
next place. I'm not going to make a point of doing it every day. Well, since I went down to London, I've just dropped it, which seems a bit of a shame because it was part of my life. I did enjoy composing music. I do have a song, Life is Beautiful, that I composed literally over several
Oh.
years because I worked out one verse while I was in an aeroplane, and then I worked out another verse at another point in my childhood, and then I worked out the third verse when I was coming back home from the cash and carry, which once I was entering adulthood, essentially. And these are all still moments that I treasure, and this is still a song that I'm totally comfortable and happy with. And whilst there's a slight naivety to the lyrics, I'm super proud of it. And being then while I was in Dundee, I would occasionally play things, and occasionally my housemates would come over and say, "Hey, Bez, could you play me something?" And I would, and there were one or two times when I said, "Oh no, you're just doing this for a joke. You don't actually want to hear it." And no, I really want to hear. And then I realized, oh wait, they do actually want to hear. People actually want to hear what I'm playing. And so like I occasionally played, and then I went to an open mic night in Dundee. When I came back in Glasgow, I went to the best open mic night ever, which is in Nice and Sleazy's. Also, it currently doesn't run for obvious reasons, but Nice and Sleazy's on Sauchiehall Street. Shouts out to them, that's a lovely thing. And then I would go there every Monday. You're only allowed to play one, maybe two songs per person. It's very strict in that way. So you play one song and then you get off the stage. If your song was at the start of the night and you stay until the end of the night, you might get a second song. If you're going on a big trip, like if you're emigrating from the UK and if you've been a regular, you might get 3 songs, but that's it. So it's very super strict because there's so many people, so many artists coming on to, and it's a room full of other musicians. And more I realized that I could get these people to sing along with me. I was trying to get people to sing along with me as much as possible. And then I started having a gig at Pivo where I started being able to play once a month. And then I had a gig at, what was the thing called? Spangled Cabaret, where I got to play once a month, where it was, okay, you've got a short 20-minute set and fit what you can into that. And I would sort of do a mixture of songs, some of which I'd previously written, but some of them would be originally just for that month, and a mixture of that and almost diary extracts, where it wasn't anything too revealing. I didn't share people's names, but I did talk about, it was an adult environment. I would talk about, sexual encounters. I would talk about things that had happened. And it would be like, hey, this is what I've been thinking about this month. And maybe one month it would be all about this person in my life. Another month it would be all about this other person. Another month it would be all about the act of dancing, and the whole thing would be all about dancing. And one month it was all about rebirth and kind of beating your fears. So there was kind of a narrative interwoven into the songs. It was like a short 20-minute performance, and I knew that I would have this bar full of maybe 40, 50 people waiting to hear me, and it was so cathartic and it was so beautiful. I managed to be part of a couple of bands, and it was part of a brass band where I was playing really badly. I played the piano well, but I played the trumpet badly, but well enough that if you tell me, hey, play this note and play it to this rhythm, I can do that. If I've only got to play 1, 2, or 3 notes, then I can handle that. I'm not going to play a solo or anything, but as part of a big brass band where you do something super basic, yes, I can handle that. And then that was such a joy, and being part, it was like being part of, like, I think 3 separate outfits and doing my own solo stuff. It was such a big part of my life, and it felt like leaving Glasgow did very much put an end to that, which is kind of a shame in a lot of ways. And I would like to bring that back, but I don't know how you can do it, because even online it's not quite the same. Do you know what I mean? It's about this song. You can't have this, I'm sitting down for this 20-minute performance and listen to this 20-minute performance. Or maybe I should just record a 20-minute video and say, hey, here's my 20-minute performance, and this is my monthly musical, what's another M word? Monthly musical, my musings.
Musings, yeah. Your monthly your magical monthly musical musing.
It could be. But I love music. I still do, and I think it's just such a big part of my life. It is like a drug. It can energize you, it can calm you, it can bring you positivity, it can bring you negativity potentially if you're listening to the wrong sort of music at the time. It can do so much. So I have so much love for music.
Yeah, it sounds like there's really a space for you to go more back into music.
Maybe. I have been exploring, and there's, I think, 2 people have well, one person's. I've done a song about a board game that some people might have seen, which was I need food, I need it twice, yes, yes. Then I'll grab another shipboard card for my success. And I'm just actually going to get to work probably today, yeah, today. On that will be my what I'm doing today.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm jumping ahead of your show, but I'm going
yeah.
to a
I
thing,
mean, we
but
can. Yeah. Do you want to do like? Should we do the wrap up first, or should we do like what's coming next? Recap first.
well, it's up
Yeah.
to you. I mean, you are the
Yeah.
host, of course.
I know. Yeah, but if you had something you wanted to share, we could have. We can always switch around a little if you need to.
Oh, you are super
Follow
lovely.
the. Of course. It's not every day I get to have you on my show.
Oh,
Yeah, gotta make it a little bit special.
trying to improve my heart so it looks more like a
True.
heart. Choo-choo.
I mean, like, yeah, it's not always that. There you go. I think there
I
I
think
got it.
actually that way is if you do it from the wrist, it's a nicer heart.
Oh yeah, that is. If I oh no, I don't have enough curtain showing on my screen to do a full
Anyway,
screen one. Yeah, okay, let's do the wrap up. So we covered a lot today. I mean, we were talking about like how green is a brilliant thing because foliage and it reminds us of nature and obviously I'm all about green. We talked about video games and like early memories and Prince of Persia, Arkanoid, and Dizzy games was even mentioned. So how much love we have for these early games that we were playing in our childhoods, and to travel and being sad about not being able to spend the time playing games instead. Um, and not taking the time to enjoy what was actually going on. But then later, as we grow older, enjoying what actually happened, like being able to travel around. And we talked about that you did paper routes just so you could get more of a work of games in. I really like that. Doing paper routes to get more games. That is so cool. I mean, I think a lot of us can relate to that, trying to find extra ways to
yeah.
get income to just get more games because it is something we're so passionate about. We got into the like making games and how are we taking feedback and really like we talked a lot about like Playtest UK, which just sounds absolutely fantastic. Like an environment to be able to do there, like
Yeah.
just going from a game evening a month and to having like 13 different ones that you could just cherry pick from to go. That sounds fantastic. And to really like focus on the positive of the feedback you're getting and yeah, you shared some really good tips on how we can just approach the feedback part of making games. I thought that was really good. We talked about 2400-hour comics and Ryan Estrada and what really makes a comic and that you've been to Thailand where you got to meet him and you mentioned the pet
So,
acting.
but just in
Yeah.
case anyone hears, it's 24-hour and 100-hour, not 2400 hours.
Oh no. That would have been a lot. Oof. Yeah.
100 days. Although technically, with the college thing,
Yeah, that kind of sounds like you did that. That would be like what, 200 days? 230? How long
something
is
like that.
yeah, around there. So not far from, but like, yeah, definitely. If you do them 10 hours a day, 100, yeah. Yeah. We talked about like how comics is the, pictorial relationship with images in relation to each other. We talked about music and piano, which is really nice because I was also playing piano when I was young, and really now that I'm getting older, I'm thoroughly enjoying. But I didn't get to learn it. Hello, we have some new. We're just on a wrap up here, so. But yeah, welcome to the Digital Dina Daily Ditties. This is my 330th show on here. And today I am having a lovely guest of Baz, who's been such a blast to have with us for the past 2 hours. Really sharing from your background, and it's been a joy.
It's been
I hope
so
we can do
lovely
this
being
again.
here. I mean, it's completely different to what I would do every other day.
We didn't really get to touch upon that. I was gonna ask, like, yeah, but what after this? What is where you're gonna be up to? On a sweet note, I'll pass the key to you if you want to share, which is totally up to you. What is going on in your life, and feel free to make your debut. Baz, what are you gonna do after this? And anything coming up?
I am going to upload a page to my Board Game Geek blog. So please follow me on Twitter, and I will link to it. I'm trying to post a page every day, and so please let me know that you actually care about it and you want to see it, because it would be lovely to have more people be encouraging me to keep writing, if you know what I mean, because I just need more motivation. Do you know what I mean? And what else? I am going to start the song that I mentioned. Also, after this, I will probably eat something. I don't know what I'll eat. Probably something quite solid and healthy. Maybe a cucumber salad, because I did eat a lot yesterday for stuff. And
and you said you haven't had breakfast yet, so I hope you do get it. I shared some. Shared a link
thank you very much.
If people want to check out. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Baz is fantastic. Been such a joy to have on the show today. A little bit late to the party, but at least you get to meet her. I mean, look at her hair today. Oh, I am loving it. And for everyone in the chat, like, what are you up to? What's going on for the rest of your day? I hope everything is gonna have some fun, at least.
Yeah, thank you everyone who's been watching along for my entrance into this show. It's been such a delight. Thank you very much for having me. And, I hope that we can make it happen again at some point in the future.
I hope so too.
You are such a lovely host, Dina. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're making me blush. I mean, after this, when I'm going to wrap up the show, where I'm going to get working on a spreadsheet for a client who wanting me to look over some data for them. And I got like admin tasks today because it's Thursday. So I don't really want to do anything too strenuous after my streams, because this is really, I use all my energy and show all the love, and then I get to calm down with like boring spreadsheets updates. And I believe you're having a post coming out today on your categorical, aren't you, Baz?
Oh yeah, that's right. So people, please go and check out Instagram.com/categoricell. I don't know if I can type in the thing, but
probably grab a link for you. Did you get it? There we go. Here, I was sure I had it. Forgot to put it in the main one. There you go.
Oh, thank you very much. And so, yes, if people could follow that, then please, that would be lovely. And there's going to be that account's going, as it develops, it's going to have more pictures of graffiti and letter shapes, and you'll see how I continue to work on the categorical letter shapes. And this is going to be a complete revamping of the original letter shapes, which look a lot more like that. And even if you don't like word games, once people are able to play games in real life, I think that Categorical is a really fun, energetic game. It was designed by Tom Cauldron, and Tom Cauldron did such an amazing job where you pick different categories for the game. So one category might be films or fictional film, like not documentaries. And you say, okay, what's a film that starts with one of these two letters? And then you need to start like Pirates of the Caribbean, and then you come up with a TC, and it's like because D does the word THE, you ignore that, so it's like it freezes your brain, and it's like what starts with a T or a C? Chocolat.
Treasure Island.
Or Treasure
Oh,
Island,
yeah.
there you go. But it takes so long when you're under pressure, and it's got that thing kind of like an Omi, and then you bring it over to your side. And if you don't like that, then you can play with a category of food, anything that's a food, and then you've got IU, and you're thinking, upside down cake. And IU is probably the hardest card, by the way, because I always find I and U for that category surprisingly difficult.
I'm just really loving, like, I actually got a copy, so I'm looking forward to playing with my mom. She really loves word games and like small little puzzly games. So I think this is going to be right up her alley.
Aww.
Board game promo to send to AEG. That is cool. Are you allowed to tell us what game? Give us some details.
AEG has their own wee pitching project.
Yeah, I've heard. So
it seems really cool, and AEG just seems like such a strong company. They're really taking care of every game they put out there. So,
and they
all
seem
the best
to have
with that.
Brilliant community management as well. They're always, like talking and interacting with people, and it's just so lovely to see. Yeah, best of luck. Let us know how it goes.
And even if it doesn't work out with AEG, whatever you record, you can use that for other companies as well. That's the thing, like working on one of these things, it's not like you submit it to AEG and then AEG says no, and that's the end. You can submit it to someone else.
Yeah, I mean, who else was it who was saying? There was yesterday I was seeing my game is called Iridium Hunter, a fast-paced 4-10 game. Ooh. Yeah, I was seeing someone else who was posting that they were open for pitches. Let's see. Dranda Games was also saying that they were open for pitches to accept. They're looking for something that is slightly beyond like lightweight games into medium games, not party games though, but yeah. So there's always people looking for pitches.
So
that's great. Yeah. I want to thank everyone for coming today. Thank you, Baz, for joining me. I mean, you're making the time to come on for 2 hours. That is amazing. Just keeping up the energy with me. Yeah.
It's always such a delight to be here, and you've got so much energy, Dina. I can really see how people feed off it. That combination of, questions that make you ponder and questions that just get you going, and it's been so lovely. And showing off all like wee bits of the SNES collection, that was super fun, and it does really make me want to. I don't know, there's just a lot of guilt in my mind right now. It feels like, I always have to be working, and I kind of miss the times when I could be like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take this evening off, and it doesn't. Also, maybe because I'm looking at the screen so much, I don't want to be playing video games so much. I don't know.
There you go. Dranda Games mission link for you. Yeah,
you've got
right?
such a lovely community here, Dina. It's been lovely to be surrounded by you all, and so thank you everyone for embracing me. I know that I'm a completely new face to most of you, so thank you all for having such a warm welcome.
And I do hope we'll see you again. I mean, how can we not love you? You're such a blast to have around. Yeah, so, remember, share, spread the love. Sharing is caring, as I always say on these shows. It really is such an honor that people are loving this what we're doing here, that they are sharing it with others, so we can grow the family and make games together. And yeah, we got some competitions coming up later. We'll talk more about that in the next episode. And I love you all, people. So this really is bye-bye. This is a goodbye time. Bye-bye. And thank you for joining along. Bye-bye. You will be missed until next time. Bye-bye. It's time for us to go. Bye-bye. Let's see, are we going to do a raid? Oh, who's on? Who is on?
Idol Michael's on.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's do that. Let's see what Idol Michael's up there. So, let's wait for the pizza.
So that's it.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's goodbye time. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining along, and bye-bye. We will miss you until next time, especially you, Baz.
Oh.
I'll miss you. Bye-bye, and it's time to go. Bye-bye, lovely people. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Join me back.
Oh, bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
I'm gonna do it like astronauts.
Bye. Bye.
Oh,
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Floating through space. Bye bye. This is my face.
This is
Bye
my
bye.
friend. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Now the place to say bye bye.